amazing actor. What range he has, he played a Jedi Knight in Star Wars, a heroin addict in Trainspotting, and in the recent Marley and Me, he played the Labrador Marley. Such a great performance, no one knew. Criminally overlooked at the Oscars. Please welcome Ewan McGregor. Like many of you, I'm a little bit in love with Ewan McGregor. Look at that cheeky face and the little sparkly eyes and the hair all tufty on top, like a little boiled egg with parsley growing out on top. OK. Ewan, great to see you here. Thanks for joining us once again.
It's a great pleasure.
Nice to have you on the show.
Nice to be here.
What have you been doing? You've been working... Is it what you've just finished filming with Roman Polanski?
Yeah.
That must be quite something. He's one of the greats.
I know, a real master filmmaker, yeah. We were shooting in Berlin since January. We finished this morning at 5 in the morning.
You just finished today?
Yeah.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah. We started with a 20... The first day with Roman Polanski, we went on set and we finished shooting that day 22 hours later. Ooh. And he's 78, 75, 78 or something.
Did he forget that you were meant to go to bed or something?
He's just relentless amounts of energy. And then we shot for 3.5 months and then finished with another 20-hour marathon last night.
What's the film? Who's in it with you? What's it about?
It's called The Ghost, and it's a novel about the ghostwriter of the recently retired British Prime Minister. And I play the ghostwriter.
So Tony Blair. Sorry about Tony Blair.
He's called Adam Lang, is the Prime Minister.
A smiley Labour MP
yes.
who dragged us into an unnecessary and unwanted war.
That kind of...
I don't think I'm allowed to say that.
Who finds out to be, perhaps have been involved in some war crimes and capturing people to torture them on behalf of the Americans. And so, yeah.
So it's one of those, is it a thriller then? It's a human drama?
I think it's a political thriller.
Where do you live now? Do you live over here? Are you back over here? Or are you living in the States?
I moved to the States last year.
How
last summer.
That? In the Los Angeles, is this?
Yes. Good. I've barely been there since we moved. I've had a house there for a long time, and we decided to go and live in it for a bit.
And how are the kids adjusted? How
they love it.
Yeah.
They love it. Yeah, they love it.
Do they go to a school? Is like a Spanish-speaking school? Because friends of mine moved out there, and the school had people spoke like equal part Spanish to well, English, but it's American, really, I suppose.
Right. No, they don't do that.
Maybe he went to a different school. Also, I've realised he is Spanish, so that would be...
Maybe he went to one of those Spanish schools.
That's what he probably did.
Do you know
I just
what I mean?
got excited thinking about it. I'm sorry.
No, they do love it. They do love it. It's quite nice to just have decided to live somewhere else. I just thought I would always live here, and I love London. But since I've been back now and again, I've come back as a visitor, you know, and I see it in a different way. And
do you appreciate it more? You enjoy it more?
Yeah, I went to an art gallery and saw some plays and stuff.
Isn't that weird?
Did things that visitors do, you know.
Yeah, you don't do the things. And when you go to New York or something, this is a great city, there's so much theatre, there's so many great restaurants. You think, oh, we've got them all, we just don't use them.
We just don't go, yeah.
Let me ask you about working with Tom Hanks. I had him on the show last week. Man, he's a difficult guest. He hardly said a word. It was hard to get anything out of him.
Not very funny, I found. Really humorless.
He's a dream to be around.
He's lovely.
It must be fun working with him.
Yeah, absolutely. And he and Ron Howard, who have worked together on 4 or 5 films before, have got a really lovely working relationship together and a good friendship. And they make the set was just a great fun place to be because
this is the movie Angels and Demons. It's just come out over here. It's great fun. It's a great fun, kind of like big, silly, blockbustery film. I loved it. But you play a Catholic priest.
Yes.
But not. But you're an Irish Catholic priest.
Yeah.
In Italy.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't read the book, but in the book, I believe he was an Italian Catholic priest in Italy, which kind of makes a bit more sense. So now...
There are Irish Catholic priests,
I'm sure there's
though.
1 or 2, but is your Italian accent so bloody awful? I bet it did. Was it first day filming? And you went, hey, what's the tomato? Let's try it again. Maybe he could be Irish.
I'll tell you what, let's make him Irish.
Is that what happened?
Ron wanted him to be Irish from the beginning. I think he's the character that's changed the most from the book. And I think it was to tidy up his backstory, and they made him an orphan. That he got orphaned in Italy and was adopted by a cardinal who became the Pope.
Well, it makes it. I mean, it kind of makes the film work. The fact what happened to him in the past.
Right.
It makes some sense of it. So I can see why they did that.
Yeah.
But you weren't filming. You didn't film that much of your stuff in Italy. Is that right?
None of it. Well, no, I did film it a couple of days in a place called Caserta. And I'd been shooting a film in Louisiana at the time, and my family had come over and they'd spent a couple of 2 weeks with me, and then I had to go over to Rome to Caserta to start filming Angels and Demons. And I said to my wife that it sounded like a lovely place, Caserta. In fact, they told me that they shot some of the stuff from Star Wars in there, and there's a palace. So I remembered that stuff in Star Wars. It was absolutely beautiful, the lake and the castle. And I forgot that George Lucas created all of that on a keyboard afterwards, you know, because the palace is in the middle of the biggest shithole you've ever seen. It's like part of the sprawling suburb of Naples. So my wife arrives on a plane from London, I arrive there, and we're being driven towards this horrible place for Anyway, we had a nice time all the same.
How long were you filming Italy then for? Not hardly any
2
time?
or 3 days, that was it. And all my stuff was done in LA. Because the Vatican wouldn't allow us to film inside any Vatican buildings.
But, you know, it's quite respectful of Catholicism, I thought, the film was. I think it seems to me like you're deliberately not treading anyone's toes in that respect.
I think so. I mean, I think it's a hangover from the Da Vinci Code, where the Vatican were upset with Dan Brown's book and the movie. But really, I don't think there's an element of anti-Catholicism or anti-Christianity or anything in the film.
Well,
in fact, they're the opposite, maybe.
We've got a clip we're going to show in a minute which improves that. Before we do that, there's one thing Ewan McGregor fans will be somewhat disappointed. This is one of the handful of movies that you've made in a long career, and you face it, you know, a varied and interesting career in which you actually managed to keep your clothes on all the way through. And most of us, I think, you know, we look forward to thinking it's a Ewan McGregor. That got a very...
So bizarre, isn't it? Well,
because they like seeing...
I just like the way you introduced the question with the word handful. Did you notice that you did that? Maybe even subconsciously.
But this does not mean that you're putting it away forever.
No.
If the part demands.
Exactly that. No confines, no limits.
But you're pretty relaxed about being on Ashoar.
I don't mind. Listen, I think that acting is you know, movies, they're stories, they represent life, and in life we're naked at least twice a day.
Yeah. Have you ever been to a nudist colony?
No.
No.
No, I haven't. Have you?
I have. You want to watch out. When you sit down, you need to put a towel down first. Or so get cross with you. We didn't realise we were filming there, and we all sat down, and no one put a towel down, and someone looked over disapproving. And then when we stood up, I realised why, because it was a plastic set. It went... And it was like the 2-inch shroud where we've been sitting. That is apparent. That would be disrespectful, wouldn't it? We better tell you. OK, let's have a look at a clip. This is Ewan in Angels and Demons. It's great fun. It's out now. Here he is, and this is great because it's a scene between you and Tom Hanks. So we see the two of you working together. That's a great scene, and you must be pleased with that.
Good scene, yeah.
It's nice. Now, let me... here, I've got to mention something here. Recently, I've been watching the television, and I see adverts of you riding around on your bike, looking quite handsome, chiselled, steely-eyed, and so on and so forth. And then you go, adventure. The smell of this thing is adventure. The smell of adventure. And this is the perfume you're doing.
Yes.
Now...
Yes, I've got a scent. I'm advertising a perfume.
What does it smell like? I've never smelt the adventure.
It smells of the rugged outdoors.
Do you wear it yourself, Ewan?
Yes.
Yeah. For how long will you have to keep wearing it?
I'm going to be wearing it for the next 2 years.
Well, listen. Hey, I've got to ask you before we move on, and we've got Eminem to come, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to be chatting in before me. I'm very excited. Before we do, what's the... you've been making a movie with Jim Carrey. And
yeah.
This sounds really quite an extraordinary film.
Yes.
It's called... is it called I Love You?
It's called I Love You, Phillip Morris, and it's the true story of two men who meet and fall in love in prison. And... I mean, what's funny about that?
But it's not a comedy, though, is it?
Exactly. No, well, it is a comedy, but it's not a comedy because of that. It's not a comedy because of that. It's a story of an extraordinary con man, Stephen Russell, who Jim plays, and his kind of he escaped from Texas prisons like 4 or 5 times, and in between times he was in a cell with his boyfriend Phillip Morris.
And so he escaped to be with him, or he just
escaped and then pretended to be a lawyer and got Phillip Morris released. And then they went on this great big gay bender around Miami and got enormously in debt, and he started insurance scams and everything, and then ended up getting Phillip Morris thrown back into prison. And then he goes through this extraordinary... He fakes his own death. He fakes the fact that he's dying of AIDS, and to the point where he gets released from prison. And this is a true story, because they think he's next to death. And he just starved himself till he was almost passed away. And then they released him. He made a phone call pretending to be a doctor, looking for someone in the very late stages of AIDS for an experiment. And the prison just released him to this doctor. And he managed to get back to see Phillip.
Well, you know what? A, we don't need to go and see it now, but B, what an extraordinary story, and it sounds like an extraordinary movie. Have you seen it? Is it finished?
Yeah, we had it in Sundance. It's great. It's really good.
It's always such a pleasure having you here. I can't wait to see that movie in particular. Sounds fascinating, the Jim Carrey.
Yeah, yeah.
But Angels and Demons, I saw it. I loved it, so thanks for that.
Great.
Great to have you here. Ewan McGregor, ladies and gentlemen.